Sunil Tulsiani. Sunil is the founder of Private Investment Club. He is a truly impeccable speaker, and I don't say that lightly. He hangs around some of the coolest people on the planet, learns from them, engages with them. They learn from him. And today we're going to be talking about wealth mastery. Welcome, Sunil.
Hey, I appreciate coming back on, Dan. You've been awesome, and thank you for the intro.
Absolutely, man. It was great having you as a part of episode 114 of the Dreams Are Real podcast and hearing your extended story, getting to dive in deep. That just came out last week and the feedback has been incredible. I'm glad that we can get together. I know that you have an event coming up this weekend that we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But first, for those who are listening who may not have heard your story, who may not have an idea of who the heck you are other than what I just said, can you take maybe a couple minutes and just introduce yourself to the audience and share a little bit about you and where you come from and what you're doing?
Well, Dan, thank you. It's first of all, a lot of people say all these good things about me and all that. I'm just a regular guy who became successful. That's basically how I want to put it. I mean, I grew up in very poor family in India. We lived in a 200 square foot room, and that room was our wash, not our wash, our living room, our kitchen, our bedroom, and we shared a washroom with somebody else. In 81, we came to Canada, and in 1990, I became a police officer, and I was there for 15 years. And we basically had the same thing that most people got: was go to school, work hard, get good grades, get a good job. Government's going to look after you, save you money, and these kind of affirmations what were really given to me all the time. One of the scariest affirmation that we thought was amazing is I can't afford it, it's too expensive, or let's just save money. That's basically what were our Bible in regards to money. And then 15 years later, my wife comes to me and says, we're going to have a divorce. When I went through the police force, from being a uniform officer to becoming a detective, then I became a police negotiator and finally a platoon commander. My wife comes to me, look, you're out 12, 15, 16 hours a day, days and nights. And we have two kids and we fought a lot. And finally, I decided to leave the police force. And my friend gave me two books while I was still driving a cruiser, a police cruiser. And at night, I remember parking my cruiser somewhere at around 2 o'clock and trying to read these books. Initially, I didn't like them. One was Think and Grow Rich. The other one was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book was the other one. So they kind of became my financial Bibles, basically. These are the ones. And then finally, I let that go. And of course, the big story where I went on televisions, success magazines, and all over the place was that I bought and sold 77 properties the first year alone and almost made $1 million. And now my goal is to make 100 millionaires. And I have a real estate club that got birthed because of that. And it's called Private Investment Club, which is the most elite top real estate club in North America. And I've been very fortunate, man. I was a shy guy. I didn't like and Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, and Robin Sharma, Jack Canfield, Brian Tracy, all of these amazing people that I've been able to do business with them. I've shared stages with them, mastermind with them, just an amazing, amazing way. And like you talked about the wealth mastery, that's with Kiyosaki. That's with Robert Allen, whose course I took 15 years ago and about sold 77 properties. That's with my good friend and billionaire investor, the original shark, Kevin Harrington. So I brought all these three sort of legends, let's call them, and I'm going to be there, and four amazing other speakers who are people who are doing business right now, who are in real estate right now. They're going to talk about how do you make money in real estate, and that's happening this Saturday, starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know we're going to give away free tickets, which you are going to put a link in somewhere in this area.
Yep, I will definitely put a link in the first comment for everybody, and I'll make sure that that gets out there appropriately. So many really good things and amazing things about your story. As I said, for the long version of the story, you guys can jump into the podcast. But I think I'd like to pull out two little pieces. One is you said you were sitting there in your cruiser and you had these two books. And you said you didn't like it at first. I think so many people who start down the personal development path, start down thinking, how do I get better? Have this resistance. What was that resistance and how did you get past it?
Well, I truly believe, first of all, you have to be ready for it. It's the teacher appears when you're ready, and these books were nothing more than teachers to me. Now, think about this. I'm a very successful police officer, and I went up the ranks, and I get a book called Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, wait a minute, what kind of BS is that? Think and Grow Rich. It's like,
Right.
it's silly, there's no such thing. And then look at the other title. The other title says Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm like, what is that? How can that help me? So I remember reading Think and Grow Rich, taking that book and actually literally throwing it. It's like, come on, this is garbage. And then throughout the time, months later, when my situation at home got worse and I decided to leave, finally, and I had the courage to say, okay, I'm going to leave secure job. That's when I picked these things up again, and I was like, wow, these are pretty, like, it almost became like, it was like, I thought it was a different book, but it wasn't a different book because I changed. And
Right.
so I truly believe your why is the most important part, because to me, my why was, I don't want to lose my kids, I don't want to lose my wife, and I want, and there are times where people should get divorced. There are times people should separate and all that stuff. But in my case, it was simply this. Look, you don't spend time with us, and when you're home, you're not home. Like, you're always thinking about stuff. And I was thinking about all the cases and all that kind of stuff. So I said to myself, do I want my family or not? And when I decided that was my why, that's when it seemed like that these books came into my lap again.
These different books.
And I read it and I'm like, wow, these are amazing books. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
And this was, and then of course, Robert Allen Course came into my life. The story behind that is very good too, because I had a newspaper. In those days, you actually open newspapers and see ads in the newspapers rather than Google. And so I remember opening up this newspaper. It was like this big newspaper, and there's a 2-page spread. And this crazy guy, Robert G. Allen, says, buy properties, nothing down. Well, I did the same thing. I took the newspaper and I threw it away. I'm like, what kind of bull crap is that? What a scam that is. And then 2 hours later, that newspaper, I picked it up again, opened it up again. Something told me to go invest into myself. I invested $5,000, which was the scariest thing that I did, because before that, if I invested $20 in a book or $50 somewhere, that would be a big thing. But to invest $5,000 into a real estate course for a 3-day event was unprecedented. But something told me to do it, and I did it. And I just followed the system.
And when you followed the system, you said in your first year, you were able to transition through 77 properties, which is an incredible number. I know that's a number that you call out a good amount. What was it that was the springboard for you? Was it just this rabid dedication to the system and to getting to your why, or was there something else that you would attribute to that to?
Well, let's talk about the the lessons. First is, I believe without a why, no one really succeeds, because if you don't have a strong reason or strong why, then the first moment, like that $5,000, I probably wouldn't have invested, because if my why wasn't as strong. Then when I took the course, I wouldn't have paid attention as much as I did. And then when I did pay attention, I wouldn't have gone and networked and followed the system to the T that I wanted to do. So first was, why do you want to do this? Other than, hey, I want money. For me, it was like, okay, I know I cannot just quit my job and sit home and do nothing. I mean, I didn't have the money to do that,
Right.
first of all. And secondly, even if I had the money, I get bored. I wouldn't do it. So the security was an issue for me. So all I wanted to do actually was to generate $200,000 that year. Why? I mean, I did not know, because I wrote down, I, Sunil Tulsiani, will generate $200,000 by end of the year. And I did it and signed it, put it all over the place. Today, I know why. I mean, over the years, I know why I put $200,000, because I used as a platoon commander, I was making $100,000 after all the overtime, courts, day and night. I was making $100,000. So what I basically subconsciously did was I doubled that. And if I double it, I know I can leave my police force without worrying too much.
Right.
But what happened was, in 3 months, I ended up making the $200,000. And I said to myself, you know, if it worked for $200,000, I always want to be a millionaire. Why don't I put down, I, Sunil Tulsiani, will make $1 million by this date, signed it, and I made 16 handwritten copies. In those days, I didn't even photocopy it. I didn't type it. I took sheets of paper like this, and I took marker and I just wrote it, signed it, number 2. I wrote 16 handwritten notes and little mini billboards, and I put it all over my home. And so the first is the why. Second is the deadline. I had 1 year of unpaid leave of absence. So what that mean was that the clock was ticking. So if you don't have a strong why, and you don't have a deadline, and you don't have written goals, then chances of you getting them is very little. And so what you asked me, what attributed to that? Today, I can analyze it. In those days, I was just doing what the course taught me and what the mentors were telling me, basically, right? I used to say to myself, why do I have to write it down? Like, I know, why do I know? So they just basically say, hey, write it down. I'm like, okay, sounds silly. You know, by the way, when I put those sheets, my handwritten sheets, all on my own, my wife came that evening, and she came in and she started ripping all these sheets off where I put taped. And I said, what happened? She goes, we cannot allow guests to come to our home and for them to see this. This doesn't look good. So I had to negotiate. I could put it on the fridge. I could put it in the washroom. I could put it where I work out. You know, I actually put it, you know, if you take my closet and you move my clothes inside the closet behind my shirts,
Nice.
So that's where I put it. When you open the doors like this, of anything, I put one over here and one over here, and then you close it, and then you guys can't see it. But I know it's there every time I opened it. So I basically became very creative as to where I can. So other than the washroom, workout, and the fridge, basically I had to hide them.
Right.
So that's what I did. And so
you made sure you were seeing it all the time, though.
And every time I open the drawer, like the washroom, there's a drawer. I open it up to get my soap or whatever. It's right there. My closet's right there. My drawers, right. Basically, I kept it everywhere that I could see it. I mean, almost anywhere I moved in my home, it's there. In my bed beside it, there's the night stand or whatever you call it. You can't see it, but then when you open it, when I opened it, it's right there on each side. So that's how I was able to do 16 of those. There was no reason for do 16. I just kept writing until I got tired, and then I put them all over the place.
I love it.
And so we have the why, we have the deadline, and we have the written goals. So that's it. The next is the knowledge. You need to know how to do something. So I took the course. And the next is you gotta do something that scares the hell out of you. $5,000 was scary for me. I had to trust some crazy dude from United States who I've never met, don't know who he is. I mean, now I know who Robert Allen is, but at that time, like some guy, like, you know. And then when I went to his event, he did not even show up. It was his people. And I was really upset. But anyways, I invested $5,000. I said, okay, I'm just going to do what the course says, because he has the results, I don't. Let me just follow it. So that's the next lesson. The next lesson after that was everybody in my family, my friends, and all the people, they kept saying to me, Sunil, don't do it. You're crazy. It'll never work out. It's a scam. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. And these things never work, blah, 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 blah. So the next lesson is, if everybody that you know who's telling you can't do it, it's a scam, it will never work out, you'll never amount to anything, and this is crazy, blah, 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 that means you're going the right way.
If everybody's going one way and you're going the other way, you're in the right direction.
You're going the right way. If they are saying to you, for example, Dan, you're trying to do something amazing, And if everybody that you know who's, let's say, average, they come to you and say, "Atta boy, great job, you're awesome, you're amazing, oh my God, go for it, blah, blah," you're going the wrong way. They're trying to keep you into that bucket of crabs, right? It's like they want to be with you. And they mean well, though. They mean well. They're looking after you. They care for you. They love you. And these are the closest people I'm talking about. They actually care for you in their own way, but they don't know what they don't know. Right. So these are some of the reasons why I became very, very successful. And there are other reasons, but last but not least, having somebody like a mentor, which I never in my life would pay. Like, I thought I should just get free advice, right? I can just go around, find it myself, read newspaper. I'm going to find the knowledge. That's what I thought. So
Oh, we froze up a little bit there. Sunil?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for just a second right after you said free advice.
Yeah, so I thought it was, you need to get free advice. That's the best thing. Until I hear this cool dude, Kiyosaki, he says the most.
Oh, man. Sunil?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. We seem to be going in and out just a little bit. I heard you talked about Robert Kiyosaki, and you heard from him, and then we lost what you said right after that. Sorry, man.
He said that the most expensive advice is the advice that you get that is free from your friends and your family members.
Yeah. And I have found that to be true as well. It's amazing to me how many people are resistant to mentors, coaches, anything like that. And I spent a lot of years saying, I'm not going to pay for a coach. Why would I do that? And now I recognize that the difference is, what's the value of a year? What's the value of a decade? If you can save a decade of your life in getting towards your goals, the value of that is huge. And that's a great transition into the other things that you're doing, like these events. So
Yes.
why do you do these events, and why should people come to this event? What can they expect from it? What can they get from it? And I'll give the caveat up front of saying, I've been to one of your events a few months ago, and I as I did on the podcast, I will rave about it. I'm not a real estate guy yet, although that's changing. Sadhna's getting me. She's getting me. And I went and I stayed. I thought I'll be there for a little bit. And I stayed for the whole time, and it was fantastic. So why do you do the events? What are they all about? What can people expect?
Well, the events, look, I realized that I can't do it alone by myself. Now I've been in the last few years, I'm in a position of actually uplifting others. A private investment club is my club, where our major goal for others is to make 100 millionaires and multimillionaires. And like you mentioned, Sadhna, she's one of our millionaires, and many of the people who've gone from zero to millions and multi-millions. How do I do this? I have to train people, something that somebody did for me before. Now I get to do for others who are wanting to do the same thing. So I've been very fortunate to be very financially successful. I've been very fortunate to making lots of money, losing it all in 2008. And then bringing it all back and generating millions of dollars. So I have a system. I know how this works. So this Saturday, 5th of December at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's called Wealth Mastery. And I am bringing all my friends, some of my good friends. We got Robert Allen, we got Kevin Harrington, and of course, we got Robert Kiyosaki. So why do I have these wonderful people to come, and plus some of the other millionaires and multimillionaires? Is because I want to inspire you to actually plurk. And you know what plurking is, but if people don't know what that is, it's simply you take the word play, you take the word work, and you combine it together. It's called plurk. And what I want to do is I want to have this idea that on the planet, I want people to plurk. And I want them to have fun. I want them to also make money at the same time, and at the same time serve people. So if you're thinking of saying, okay, what should I be doing in 2021 for business wise, positive cash flow wise, income wise? Should I be buying property? Is there big real estate crash coming? We got the insiders coming to talk about that. We got Fanny, who's going to talk about, who's a speaker there, and she's going to talk about how she bought a couple of no money properties in the last few months. We had Jatinder, who's going to talk about how she, when she became a member just about a year ago, how she made about $250,000. We have Dan, and he's going to talk about property management. So what mistakes people make when they're hiring property management, and how do you take care of your property if you don't want to be the landlord of it, you don't want to be cleaning, helping with toilets and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to have Nader, who's going to talk about how do you pay the least amount of income taxes when you start making money, and how do you set it up in advance so you don't do this. And then of course we have Robert Allen, we have Robert Kiyosaki, and we have myself. I'm going to talk about how do you become wealthy as a real estate investor, and how do you do it with no money down? How do you attract investors? How do you attract cash buyers? What if you're in the United States and you want to raise money from Canadians? You want the cash buyers, you want joint venture partners. How do you do that? It's all about that. So if you are a full-time, part-time real estate investor, or a real estate agent, mortgage broker, or anybody who's thinking of getting into real estate in some format in 2021, or you're wondering, wait a minute, I got 2 or 3 properties, should I buy more? Or I got no properties, I'm renting right now, should I buy? Should I buy right now? Is this a good time to buy? I'm talking about mainly in Canada and United States, but actually anywhere in the world, free world that we're talking about, but mainly in the United States and Canada. Should we do that right now? And if there is a big crash coming with real estate, why do we think so? And most importantly, what to do about it? Like, what are you going to do? I made huge amount of money. I lost all my money in 2008, but I made huge amount of money because it was a crash too. And I lost it, but I made lots of money. So what should you be doing now? If the market keeps going up, by the way, everybody makes money. It doesn't matter. You don't need a lot of education. Maybe you need access to good deals and you need access to money. That's fine. But when the market crashes, majority of the people, they lose money. Small group of people, they make more money than they have ever made, some of them, in their entire life. And that's what that's why you need to be there. Because you want income, you want cash flow, you want to do it safely, and you want to know what is coming and what to do about it from market point of view.
Two questions that related to that I think will connect with the audience. And one is one that I know that you get a good amount, but the focus on wealth and money is something that you spend a lot of time on and you spend a lot of time talking about. I know that it's grounded in a lot of other things, but I guess I would ask, what would you say to those who are like, man, that just sounds like a lot of focus on wealth, and my focus is on doing this mission in the world or doing this mission in the world. And maybe they feel a little internal frustration at all the focus being on, or what is perceived to be all the focus being on becoming wealthy. How do you deal with those money stories?
Well, so let's define, first of all, money versus wealth, because
I love
you're
that.
talking about wealth. So this book is called Secret to Wealth, and it's not called Secret to Money. It's called Secret to Wealth. And in this there, I actually have a diagram that talks about wealth being in the middle and what is wealth to what I would consider wealth. And so wealth is money, love, relationship, health, peace, freedom, time, family, and happiness, and then add whatever you want. So that's really what wealth is to me. For some people, wealth could be total focus on their health, because that's what it is. My thing is simply this: give me one thing that you define as wealth. Is it your health? Is it your happiness? Is it that you want to send your kids somewhere? Is it that you want to live anywhere in the world and off onto a beach, or you want to write books, or anything you tell me, I have to bet you 99.9999% of the time, if you don't have the money, if you do not have the money, chances are you're not going to be able to do it, because money is simply a resource. It's just a resource. It's basically saying, It's an exchange for a value, basically. That's what it is. So if you want to send your kids to a great public school or great private school, guess what? You'll need money. You want to eat organic food all the time because you want to be healthy. Guess what? If you want to get the best health system or best doctors around the planet,
Gotta
you'll
have
need
money.
you'll need money. If you want to go to events, if you want to hire a coach, if you want to learn, like I did when I spent my $5,000, if you want to buy a car to drive, I don't care if it's a Honda or a Porsche, whatever it is, you'll need money. It's just, this is how our modern society works. You want to eat apple, guess what? You'll need money.
Mm-hmm.
So my suggestion is money is not everything, but is very important.
Yes. And it's taken me a while to get past my own challenges to understand and accept that. I think, like so many people in the way that I grew up, I was taught such a scarcity mindset and was just beat down into that coming out of it and recognizing that just like profit isn't a bad word, without profit we lose the privilege to serve, right? And that money isn't a bad word, and it isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing, and it's it allows us to do all the things that we
Yeah,
want to be able to do in the world.
absolutely. When I'm on big stages, I've been all over the world on small stages, big stages. And one thing that I talk about is the aspect of serving. So we have a lot of people who are religious, and we have a lot of people who help people with their weight, help them with their happiness, their weight loss coaches, and all that stuff. The sad part is all these people have such a beautiful heart to serve, the serving part. Now, what's sad about that? Sad about that is that they can't serve if they're not financially well off. Why? If you don't have the money to attract and put money into marketing, let's say, if you don't have money to hire a assistant, or if you don't have money to hire 2 assistants, or if you don't have money to have the proper equipment and computers and all that stuff, and you're always worried about losing money, and you're always worried, then you cannot serve. So here's the thing. If you're absolutely not wealthy to the level that you want to and you should be, then you are selfish. You're selfish if you don't become rich.
It hits people a little differently.
Yeah, because when you become rich and you're a good person, I'm assuming you're a good person, because money can do both. Money can get the bad person get worse and good person get better. And let's say you want to serve 10 people, and then somebody else wants to serve 100 people. Somebody else wants to serve 1,000,000 people. Well, the difference between the 3 of them is really, do you have the financial resources to make it happen? So you're actually selfish if you don't become rich, because if you don't become rich to the level that you want, that means you're not serving your purpose, which means you're not serving people, which means you're selfish.
As we get, I know we need to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes, and I appreciate your time. The 2 last things I would want to touch on, one is the second question from before. I know you talk about service, and you do a lot in the world from a service standpoint. Is there a particular cause or something? I know I'm just blown away by the work that you're doing around the world. Is there one of those acts of service or items of service that you might encourage others to, or that you would want to share that you are involved with?
Well, there are 2 that when I was growing up, we had no running water and we had no washroom. When we moved to a better place, we had no electricity, no running water, no washrooms, but it was a bigger space. And every day, dad would come home from a factory, and he would come home, and we would all go with buckets, and we would find a place to, hand pump or well or whatever it is, and we would line up. We would fight with people because we're running out of water. But anyways, we would then carry, as kids, I remember carrying water with my dad carrying water and all that kind of stuff. Well, several years ago
Oh, we just lost your audio. I cannot hear you, and I'm not sure why. I can see you.
Can you
There,
hear me
now you're back.
All right,
Right.
sounds good. So I was talking about the water.
Yep.
I was talking about the water. So I built water stations in India. Basically, at least you can go out and get fresh water to drink, as simple as it sounds. And the second, we were doing eye surgeries. That's right. I feel that there's one thing that human beings, like if you lose your hand, I don't want you to lose your hand or leg,
Right.
something like that. But if you lose your eyesight, I can see what that does to human beings. So last year we did 150 eye surgeries and brought 150 people, their self-esteem, their ability to go out and work, take care of their families and all that kind of stuff. This is what I'm going to be doing moving forward, and more people, because there's millions of people that need that. And to me, I do it in India because I have relatives. I know the system, so I can, and I go there and I look at, I check it out with my own eyes. Like I flew down there in December of 2019. If it wasn't COVID-19, I would be flying in December this year and doing those as well. So that's what I want to do. And my members of my club have poured in. They love the idea of helping out, because, individually, when we donate $20 or $50, but together, when we do it, it just changes everything.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And when I was at your event a couple months ago, that really jumped out at me. And it jumped out at me as an extension of the conversation we had a moment ago. Without money, you lose the opportunity to be able to do that good. And I
Yes.
love that you have those tangible examples every day of how you are using that to do good, and how you're working in a heart-centered way within wealth, and then to help others create wealth in their definition of that, to get to the spot where they can do the same. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. This weekend's event, 10:30 to 5:30 Eastern time on Saturday. And I would encourage everyone who is listening to this, come to this event. It costs you nothing but your time, and the investment of your time, one of your most valuable resources, will return itself multiplied. Is there anything in particular or any last words that you'd like to leave with everyone? And again, thanks for spending the time with us.
You're very welcome. I just want you to come. If you ever, I realize what's going on right now. It's COVID-19. Many people have lost jobs. Many people are thinking they're about to lose jobs. Many people have businesses that have lost income or cash flow. And if you have any business, any service-oriented business, and you want to connect with the right people, you want to learn, you want to be inspired to go to the next level, you want to meet some cool people and go, man, this is the group I want to be speaking to, learning from, and all that stuff. And most importantly, if you truly want to thrive in 2021, you not just want to survive, you just don't want to make some money. You want to make a lot of money, and you have a goal of making lots of money and serving people, looking after your family, and maybe you want to build generational wealth for you and your families and your kids to come, and your grandkids to come, I should say. Just show up, and we got the superstars. At least my superstars: Robert Kiyosaki, Robert Allen, Kevin Harrington, and myself. And there's 4 other beautiful, wonderful people who are doing it now. They're not just teachers, but they are real entrepreneurs. They're investors. And so if you thought about, you know what, I'm not an investor right now, but you're thinking about it, or you think just show up. Like you said, you're not a real estate investor yet, but you know that most people become wealthy because of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And we realize that most people don't do real estate full-time investing. They do part-time. Even Sadhna, we talked about, she's a millionaire of my club. She still is a law clerk, and she made more money by doing real estate investing than her job, but she likes her job. And then now she does. So you don't have to do this full-time. You can do this part-time. So the idea is you generate income from somewhere, business, your employment, but then what do you do with the money where it grows and makes lots of money? And real estate is one. And if you know how to do that, if you know it a little bit differently than, hey, I'm just going to go to a real estate agent and ask him to buy me a property, that's what everybody does. But if you want to learn the insider information about something like that, and you want to find out some of the stuff that's about to happen, you got to show up. Just show up at this event. And like I said, it doesn't cost you any money. Tickets are regular tickets are $97, and you can get that absolutely free. Dan's going to put those links for you, and just click on it, show up, and see if you love it. Only thing I want you to do is just make sure that you're interested in making money, in building cash flow and generating income, or building your or growing your business to the next level, whether it's real estate or entrepreneurship, consultant, coach, mentor, speaker, accountant. It doesn't matter, marketer. It doesn't matter what business you're doing. How do you build cash flow to the next level is what I want you to do. And perhaps your clients, your customers are there, and you're going to be able, the way I do it, you'll see how we network and do things like that. A lot of money is made by people just showing up and getting to know, gee, I like that person. I actually facilitate the networking, even though it's virtual. It's crazy how it works all over the world. I have members in Canada, United States, Australia, Europe, India, everywhere, and they're going to be there. And some of the people from Australia, they're going to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning to be there. So
Absolutely. They should come. The link is in the description. Get your ticket, get registered, and come. You will not regret it in any way. You will find so much bountiful connection there, and the energy will lift you up for days after, even aside from all the knowledge, even aside from the wonderful speakers. The energy that comes from that will give you this great push through the end of the year. I would say, even if you've just been struggling from COVID and you're like, I don't know about real estate, jump into this and find the benefit. Sunil, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom, for sharing about the event, and just for sharing your energy with us. Much appreciated.
yeah, you're very welcome, Dan. And also, when you're putting it in, I want you in your chat box somewhere. I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be giving away prizes worth $25,000, thanks to our sponsors that have helped us. We're talking about, tablets, iPad, cash, gift certificates, and some of the amazing cool prizes that we're going to be giving away on that day. Show up. But please don't show up just to win $25,000 gifts. Show up because you want to become very successful. But this is just an added bonus.
We like added bonuses. Thank you. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Thanks, Dan.